In Skypiea, 4 gods were mentioned by the Shandian tribe. This information was forgotten in the story until Luffy was revealed to be one of them, the Sun God. And now in Elbaf, once again the 4 gods are mentioned, the only 4 who can put an end once and for all to Emu. So if you want to know about all of this and much more, then stay with me, because that's exactly what I'm going to show you now. Since One Piece began, Oda has been planting seeds of mysteries that are only now starting to surface. And one of the most impactful revelations came recently with chapter 1164, where Xebec drops a bomb during his confrontation with Emu, saying that Davy Jones was the true king of the ancient world. This seemingly simple statement actually connects decades of narrative build-up, and may be showing us the real end of the story. What makes this even more fascinating is that we're not talking about random characters. We're talking about a pattern that repeats through the ages, a cycle of divine forces that shaped and continue shaping the world of One Piece. And the key to understanding this pattern lies in 4 specific figures who appear both in the past and the present of the story. Let's begin with the context that changed everything, the Skypiea arc. There in chapter 287, something seemingly small happened during the sacrificial ritual of Kalgara's daughter. The inhabitants mentioned 4 gods, the Sun God, the Rain God, the Forest God, and the Earth God. At the time, many people thought it was just part of the local Shandian mythology, but Oda never wastes details. Fast forward to Elbaf, and everything gains a new layer. The sacred Harley texts, written in the same ancient language as the poneglyphs, reveal something extraordinary. The world of One Piece has already been destroyed twice before, and in each of these destructions, these same divine forces were present. The Sun God Nika fighting for freedom, the Earth God with his infernal fire serpent bringing destruction, the Forest God taming demons, and the Sea God enraged by tragedy. These weren't just myths. They were real figures who shaped the fate of the world. What connects Skypiea to Elbaf goes beyond the simple mention of these gods. Harley's texts describe 3 distinct worlds. The first world was destroyed when humanity touched the Forbidden Sun, and the Earth God reacted with fury. The second world corresponds to the Void Century, where Joy Boy was killed, and the world was flooded. And now we are seeing the third world, where the texts prophesy that the Sun God will return to bring a new dawn. This cyclical pattern isn't a coincidence. It's the way Oda shows us that history repeats itself until someone finally breaks the cycle. And this is where the most interesting part of chapter 908 comes in. Emu appears holding exactly 4 images. They weren't random posters of powerful enemies. They were specifically Luffy, Blackbeard, Shirahoshi, and Vivi. Emu tore Luffy's and Blackbeard's posters into pieces, stabbed Shirahoshi's photo, but kept Vivi's image intact. And this contrast is extremely important. These 4 characters were not chosen by accident. Each one carries a direct connection to the ancient gods. Luffy is the most obvious case. We know since chapter 1044 that he ate the Hito Hito no Mi, model Nika, becoming literally the reincarnation of the Sun God. He is Joy Boy's successor, destined to bring liberation and the new dawn. Vegapunk confirmed this in Egghead, and One Piece's entire narrative has built Luffy as this liberating figure who will defeat Emu. Every villain Luffy has faced has been a step preparing him for this final confrontation. And the Sun God needs allies to win, and that's where the other 3 come in. Shirahoshi carries the title of Poseidon, one of the 3 ancient weapons. And Poseidon isn't just a symbolic name, it is literally the god of the sea in Greek mythology. Harley's texts mention that the sea god became enraged when the sun was killed during the Void Century. Shirahoshi has the power to command the Sea Kings, and we know from Oden's flashback that Joy Boy left a message for her on Fishman Island, a poneglyph written like a personal letter. King Neptune confirms that Shirahoshi is the reincarnation of the princess who allied with Joy Boy 800 years ago. She is destined to raise the Noah Ark when the time comes, likely to save people during another great flood, which will certainly happen when Emu and Blackbeard begin using Uranus and Pluton. The emotional symbolism also fits perfectly. Shirahoshi cries constantly, and her emotions shake the ocean. The Sea Kings appeared for the first time when she was emotionally distressed. Storms and fury are classic metaphors for sadness and tears. For the giants of Elbaf, who are enormous, she would be the sea god, commanding sea creatures. But for the Shandians, a much smaller people, the impact of her tears and storms would be perceived as rain. That's why the same god has 2 different titles depending on who tells the story. But now we move to the most intriguing choice of all, Marshall D. Teach as the Forest God. In chapter 1164, Xebec reveals that his true name is Davy Xebec, confirming that he is a descendant of Davy Jones. And Emu keeps calling Xebec Davy, drawing a direct line through this lineage. If Xebec is a descendant of Davy Jones, then Blackbeard, who we know is the son of Xebec, also carries that blood. Harley's texts say that the forest god tamed and created demons. In One Piece, the word demon symbolizes two things: devil fruit users, or the D clan itself. Imu refers to the Ds as cursed demons that must be exterminated. If the will of D is, in part, actually the will of Davy, the same promise Zebek followed and mentioned to Imu, then the forest god would be the origin of this clan. This aligns perfectly with Vegapunk's theory about devil fruits being born from human dreams and desires. As I've mentioned before, I believe Davy Jones may have been the leader of the ancient kingdom, a kingdom far ahead in technology, and that it might have been this kingdom that created the devil fruits, awakening forbidden powers of nature. Imu, acting as the sea demon, cursed these fruits, causing their users to sink in the water. Blackbeard's behavior reinforces all of this. He is obsessed with collecting devil fruits. He is trying to conquer the world and will do anything to realize his dreams. He arrived on his ship, the Saber of Zebek, named in honor of his father. The dream he proclaims, when he says that a man's dream never dies, is likely about avenging his lineage and defeating Imu. He is building an army of powerful devil fruit users exactly as the forest god did according to Harley's texts. These fruits and their powers are literally his birthright, and symbolically, dense forests block sunlight, creating darkness and mystery, the direct opposite of the sun god, who is Luffy. And finally, we arrive at Vivi, who, following the pattern, would correspond to the earth god, perhaps the most surprising of them all. Alabasta is directly connected to Pluton, named after the Roman god of the underworld and earthquakes. The location of Pluton is written on the poneglyph hidden in Alabasta. Alubana, Alabasta's capital, is more than 3,000 years old, showing that this family's roots go far beyond the Void Century. The huge mural on the Tree of Adam depicts a humanoid figure, most likely the Earth God, wearing a crown that matches exactly the one Nefertari Lily wore in the mural we saw in Imu's room. And Lily was one of the 20 original kings who founded the world government, but unlike the others, she remained in Alabasta. Imu clearly has a strange obsession with Lily, keeping her portrait for 800 years. I truly believe Imu may be possessing Lily's body, or was deeply in love with her. The name Nefertari comes from Egypt and means the most beautiful, or the most beautiful of women. And when we hear that, it's impossible not to connect it directly with Amazon Lily, home to the most beautiful women in the world, like Boa Hancock and Shaki. And the Earth God in Harley's texts has a giant infernal fire serpent. Amazon Lily is literally an island of empresses who rule alongside giant snakes. Gloriosa, Shaki, Hancock all follow this pattern. Even more, the name of the island Lily may be a direct reference to the legacy of Queen Lily of Alabasta. In our own world, Queen Nefertari of Egypt held several titles, including the one for whom the sun shines. This strongly suggests that Nefertari Lily was Joy Boy's lover, and this fits perfectly with the pattern of Amazon Lily empresses falling in love with great pirates, and Joy Boy was the first pirate. Lily's letter to her descendants said to raise the flag of the dawn, the unifying symbol of all Joy Boy's followers. Maybe Lily's great mistake in Imu's eyes was falling in love with Joy Boy instead of him. The confrontation between Joy Boy and Imu may have been a jealous feud that literally shaped 800 years of history. This would explain why Imu kept Vivi's photo intact while destroying all the others. Vivi looks a lot like Lily, and if Imu truly loved Lily, he would see Vivi as a second chance or a link to the past. Imu's obsession with the Nefertari bloodline goes far beyond politics. It is deeply personal. But then, how does all of this come together for the end of the story? The world is repeating itself, but with each cycle, the forces opposing Imu grow stronger. The four gods were unable to defeat Imu during the Void Century. A carefully crafted plan was created by Lily, Joy Boy, Poseidon, and Davy Jones so that one day he could be defeated. This plan was passed down, and Rox tried to carry it out, but he was turned into a demon before he could complete it. Roger discovered everything. He laughed at the story and helped pave the way for Luffy. Then Shirahoshi will raise Noah with the Sea Kings when another great flood happens, saving the people, while Blackbeard and Imu use Pluton and Uranus to raise the sea levels across the entire world. Blackbeard will keep getting stronger, building his army, preparing to avenge the Davy bloodline. Luffy will destroy Imu with some epic God of the Sun attack, fulfilling his role as the liberator. And Vivi, well, she may control the blood-stained serpent that the giants mentioned lies inside the Red Line, helping to bring it down and unite the oceans once again. But more importantly, after Imu falls, there will be a massive power vacuum. The world will need someone to maintain order. And Vivi, as a princess of a great nation respected by many and an ally of Luffy, is the perfect person to unite the world's kingdoms, not as a single ruler, but by creating something like the United Nations, a true, legitimate world government, not based on oppression, but on cooperation. So the idea of the four gods isn't just about power. It's about how One Piece has always been about cycles, inherited will, and the dream of freedom that never dies. Oda has been building this since Skypiea, and now in Elbaf we're finally seeing all the pieces come together. Luffy can't do this alone. He needs the sea, the earth, and the forest at his side. He needs his divine allies to finally break the cycle and bring the true dawn that was promised so long ago. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and leave in the comments what you think about all of this. If you really believe that there are 4 gods in the world of One Piece. And of course I'm counting on your like, and also subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you never miss a new video like this. Thank you very much for watching until the end, and see you next time.